Good afternoon, everybody. Alan Print up for This Truth. Welcome back on this beautiful Saturday afternoon, September 27th. It is SEC football time. Yeah, I know it's college football time, but I live in Florida. I've been an SEC fan all my life, and SEC football fans are fanatics, and no football exists outside of the SEC. My team plays tonight against Georgia, Alabama, Georgia. That's the game of the day. Don't know what to expect. Me and my friend that's a Georgia fan, we've already had a conversation, and neither one of us is sneering or poking our chests out because neither one of us know what to expect, and we wish each other the best, and we're not going to, berate each other on whoever loses. So we'll see you there. So some things we're going to cover today. We've got Comey's been indicted. Charlie Kirk still in the news. Epstein Files have made it back around. J6. Several things that we're going to talk about. So we're going to roll right into it, face first. And Charlie Kirk, we're going to go ahead and get this out of the way. I figured it diminished a little bit after his memorial, but it's still, everywhere I look, it's just popping up. Conspiracy theories are abound around Charlie Kirk. If you've got an idea that it's a conspiracy theory, that's how many I've heard from. An inside job, a foreign nation spearheaded the assassination. It's an inside job. Bullet came from here, everywhere, down below, to it being staged. A hologram is coming up everywhere. I know that there's a turning point event at the Oregon football game today. What's that guy's name? Benny Johnson's there. You're giving away T-shirts to students. So it definitely the turning point mission is going forward. Still don't know who's taking the baton on that one and going to take the lead of the campus tours. I guess they'll kind of figure that out as they go and see what feels most natural. But I will say this. There is one conspiracy theory out there that makes about as much sense as the Tyler Robinson story. I wasn't there. I don't know what the hell happened. Law enforcement is saying this. Okay, that's what I'm believing. But since I wasn't there, and all I get to see is these little, quick, grainy videos, like they're from a gas station in 1985. TPUSA had him filmed in 360 in high res. Where are all those videos? Where's all the other cell phones in the crowd? There's not a square inch of him that wasn't on camera. So why are we only seeing just these little snippets? That's one of the questions. Why was the grounds renovated just a couple days after the assassination? That's very odd. So Charlie Kirk's still in the news. Conspiracy theories everywhere, including a foreign state-sponsored assassination. I saw some about that was it yesterday? So I don't know what to believe, just like with JFK and MLK. We can only believe what we're being told. No one believes a magic bullet with JFK. I don't care how much they try to sell that. No one bought it. No bullets doing 32 three-point turns in mid-flight and going in and out of, President Kennedy. That's not happening. That's BS. And we're going to get into why we haven't seen that file here in just a few minutes. Moving right along to James Comey being indicted by a grand jury for what I'm hearing is lying to Congress. Well, hell, everybody's lied to Congress. You watch these people get subpoenaed and come in for testimony over a number of administrations, not just today, not just the Biden administration, not Trump 1.0, not just Obama or Bush Jr. or Clinton. As long as I've been watching politics, I've been watching politicians and federal players lying to Congress. And nothing ever happens to these people. To me, getting a congressional subpoena to testify is a big deal. That's got the same weight as like being subpoenaed to testify in federal court or local court. That's a big deal. But it seems common thing that you can show up or not show up. I've seen people not show up. They've been subpoenaed multiple times, don't even show up. And those that do, may tell the truth, they might not. I don't know. It's kind of discretionary because nothing's going to happen to them if they lie. So I'm glad to see that, this administration is now taking congressional perjury serious, because that's one of our checks and balances. These congressional oversight committees. We have different committees within Congress, that provide oversight and keep departments accountable. And if everybody's walking away scot-free, then what's the point? So, that diminishes our checks and balances. But out in the news, President Trump is going after his political opponents. James Comey ain't running for shit. He's not even employed by the federal government. So I kind of figured that was going to be the next thing I heard when I saw that he had been indicted, because that's happened before. Starting in 2015, somebody was being investigated, and that's part of why he's indicted, lying to Congress, the whole Russiagate deal. And that's just what, if our congressional leaders are breaking the law, they need to be held to account and to a higher standard than the general population, because they know better. So I'm not saying it's a good thing that he's being indicted, but if he did in fact break the law, he should go to jail like the rest of us. If you and I break the law, we go to jail. We don't get to walk around just because we rub elbows with some high-level people. No. Doesn't happen that way. Good for the goose is good for the gander. So I look to see more coming out of that. And also in the news, January 6th has come back up again. Saw that the FBI has confirmed that there were 275 to 300. I've seen different reports of the number, but in between 275 and 300 agents in the crowd at the Capitol on January 6th. We already knew that there was confirmed federal assets in the crowd. We already know that there were people there that were agitators, instigators, or encouragers. We already know that. So now that we've got a confirmation, why didn't we have that number before? Because of the language that was used to describe persons. So they said, oh, well, no, we only had X amount of undercover. Okay, these are plain clothes. Undercovers in plain clothes, whatever. They're arguing over language. But on January 6th, also what I've heard is concerning Trump and the National Guard recently, and how the president is quick to deploy National Guard in Washington, D.C., or Memphis, or Chicago, or Louisiana to clean up and address crime. But he couldn't send them to the Capitol on January 6th. There are official reports out there that show that not only did he try to send them, but the head of Capitol Police requested 2 days before and was denied by the Sergeant of Arms, which was told by the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, to deny National Guard requests. He tried to, but in a public address, the President, Trump, did say to protest peacefully. He did not call for violence. He did not try to incite violence. He said, let your voices be heard and protest peacefully. And I'm all aboard about peaceful protesting. I love our Constitution. I'm in full support of it. If you want to stand outside with your sign and protest whatever you want to protest, I am fine with that. But you do not have the authority or the freedom to damage property or hurt people physically. Excuse me. So that's where I draw the line. Yeah, there was damage to the Capitol. It did get somewhat out of hand. I did not like the way that it went or ended up. If it had just stayed out there on the steps and everybody hooting and hollering and chanting in unison, perfect. But were there agitators in the crowd that helped, encourage it? I don't know. I wasn't there. But there is a clip out there that I have seen, and I wish I had saved it, of Nancy Pelosi riding in the back of a SUV, admitting that she denied the National Guard and she feels responsible that January 6th happened. I wish I had that clip. If you've got it, send it to me. I'm all about the protest. What good does a protest do? I don't know how much good any protest does. I don't, except make people that aren't protesting mad because you're interrupting the flow of their day. The ICE protests have gotten out of hand in front of the ICE facilities. People are getting hurt, properties getting damaged. Now, if you're protesting in front of a federal building and you damage property, yeah, there should be punishment. January 6th or ICE detention facilities, it does not matter. You damage property, you get charged. You hurt people, you get charged. I don't care. I don't care. I don't believe in damaging property or hurting people. Just this week, the Jewish synagogue where I live was set on fire. They've got the guy and the arsonist in custody in jail. But I have Jewish friends too, and they hadn't even heard about it because it barely made the news. We have a Jewish community here in Southwest Florida. It's not huge, but we do have a Jewish community. Just like everywhere in the country, there's a Jewish community. And I asked my friend, "Hey, did you hear about this?" He's like, "No, I didn't even know about that." So I sent him the news link. He was like, "Wow, I did not know anything about this," and it had already been gone. Happened like 2 days prior than when I sent it. So I'm not about damaging property, looting, setting things on fire, none of that. Nor am I in favor of paying people to protest and busing them in. No, that should be a natural, organic thing. That's why I question whether protests do anything, because there are people getting paid to protest. And we've seen them at different protests, the same people across the country. I'm like, it's their job to protest. They're getting paid to do it, because that's been confirmed too, that there are paid actors out, paid protesters there. So I'm all for you protesting. Just don't damage property and don't hurt people. And we all know that it's against the law to get in the way of official law enforcement business. It's obstruction of justice or interfering. Just each department is going to have a different wording for it. You're not supposed to do it either. Whether you agree with it or not, that's okay. Now, if you have a problem with ICE doing their job, show up and say, "Hey, they can come live with me. Why don't we try that?" I haven't seen anybody step to the front and said, "Hey, I can take 3 of them. I can take 5 of them. I can take 1. And you house them and you sponsor them. And if they do anything wrong, you're held responsible for it too, just like you are for your own child." Why don't we hybridize that? If you're an illegal immigration enthusiast, let's fill your house up. And you are personally responsible for them financially. And if they get into any trouble, you're also get charged with the same thing they're getting charged with. I don't know. Maybe that's a little too brash, but I'm a little too honest. That's why it's this truth. Segue from ICE. We did J6. We touched on Charlie Kirk. We touched on Comey. What's left? Big news of the day. Epstein. Boy, can't go through a day without some dirty, raunchy thing in the news. And Epstein is back. Ever since he got arrested, he's been in and out of the news cycles. Here he is again. And I've got theories about this too, and I'm going to let that be known. Every now and then, for a certain amount of time, people are screaming, "Release the files, release the files." Okay, well, let's go back in time. Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell are arrested, tried, and imprisoned. He later commits suicide. I don't know, I wasn't there, but there's some questions about his death. We'll never know. I'll never know. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I don't know. So he committed suicide. Believe what you want to believe. Ghislaine Maxwell's still in prison. So why didn't the previous administration release those files when they had them? They had plenty of time to do it. Why didn't they do it? But instead buried them in the FBI. And I do mean buried, because when Trump 2.0, that administration comes into office this past January, that was one of the big things, is releasing the Epstein files along with MLK and JFK and some other stuff. Um, so Pam Bondi got the Epstein files, and everybody was proud of it. Everybody, we saw these 3-inch binders, and after them looking into it, we're like, hey, this is stuff we already got, stuff we already know. Where's the rest of it? And then who she was dealing with at the FBI to get that stuff was kind of stonewalling her, sending her around in circles. She couldn't get it. And that was right about the time that Cash Patel was either finishing his confirmation, just came out of confirmation. She got him involved. He got on the stick. And they were found buried, hidden, locked away deep in an FBI office, closet, dungeon, something. And now she's got everything. Why hasn't it been released? My theory is that the people involved, now they're saying they're going through it to protect the innocent. I totally understand. I totally agree with that. But I don't think we're going to get it released in any manner that we are expecting that it's going to be released, similar to JFK, MLK, and 9/11 and all that. Because the people that are going to be named in this, that are the bad actors, the ones that engaged in those horrible atrocities with the children, are notable people, celebrities, government officials, heads of state, not just in America, but across the world. I think this is a big deal. And well, people like you and me, the guy down the street, the lady down the street, they're not involved because they didn't have enough cash to be in that circle. And also this week, I heard somebody say that it's being used as a blackmail tool to blackmail the United States into things. I don't want to believe that, but okay, well, if another government has this list too, and they're using it to blackmail us, well, that would kind of make sense why it's not coming out. But I think there's a lot of high level or notable uh, people that are going to be named in these files. Could be presidents, could be kings, could be prime ministers, ambassadors, actors, comedians, musicians. I have no idea. Heads of industry, heads of business. I think there's going to be a lot of people who are known in the world, and possible reason why it's not being released or released yet or released in any form is I think there might be the possibility of this creating some level of civil unrest across the world. And the government, I know any government does not want to do anything that's going to cause its people to rise up and come at them. Which is why we have the Second Amendment to protect ourselves from tyranny, a tyrannical government. So we don't know the information that the people in those chairs have, whether it be Pam Bondi, President Trump. We don't know that information. And what the collateral damage, the implications of collateral damage could be behind why they're not releasing it. That's kind of my thought on it, is if they're not releasing it, it's got to be pretty damn bad and implicate some pretty high level people. I don't think Trump is holding it back because it implicates him. I think it implicates a lot of other people. I do, across the world, around the world. I think from most major countries. I don't know. But that's my take on it, is that it's going to have some level of civil unrest or uprising from a population. I think that's why it's being held back, and they're being very careful with it. The same thing with JFK and MLK. If all the information in its entire truth were released, I think that would have been the result, is civil unrest. We saw the civil unrest in Memphis. My family's from Memphis. And my parents told me about what was going on when Martin Luther King was shot. Oh my gosh, Memphis was in a bad spot. It took years to come out of it, and in some ways, Memphis never came out of it because there's still a lot of Memphis, I would say, is healed from that, but there's still that mentality surrounding the whole racism, MLK oppression that's still prevalent in Memphis that I haven't seen anywhere else. So Memphis, in some sense, is fighting itself still. And if you listen to some of the leaders, and not just the city leaders, but some of the religious leaders, you'll hear it. You'll hear it. Not all of them. I know some good leaders that live in Memphis in Shelby County, former clients of mine, and they're level-headed. But some of them, they sound like they're coming right out of the 1960s in the way they speak and address certain issues. So I think that's part of it. Why we're not going to get the Epstein Files, because there's going to be some type of civil unrest tied to it. Just like we're not going to get the full story on 9/11. We're not going to get the full story on Charlie Kirk, MLK, RFK, Vietnam. We're not going to get the full story on any of it. And I don't like that the government is hiding stuff from us and keeping us from us. They're not the only ones. You know, the Vatican keeps things from us as a population. Egyptologists, all that ancient history, there's things that they are not telling us. Antarctica, there's things that they're not telling us. The moon, there's things they're not telling us. There's a lot out there that has not been shared in its entirety that they should share. We deserve to know. As the people of the planet, we deserve to know this stuff. And if they're withholding it, you know, like a parent withholds information from a child, I understand it, but I don't agree with it. You know, I want to know what happened to JFK. I want to know what happened to MLK. I've got my own theories, and my own theories are not good because they implicate the United States government. Same way with Charlie Kirk. I've got my own theory. Because I said, you know, there is a conspiracy out there that kind of makes as much sense as what, you know, the official story is. But I'm going with the official story because I'm a good citizen. So I'm not speaking about which theory I'm going with. But there's a lot of people who are starting to scratch their head about the Charlie Kirk situation. They're kind of waking up, getting away from the shop. Jimmy Kimmel came back on the air. I spoke about this a couple days ago. But I said then I think his days are numbered. As same as all other high-paid network talent. We've been seeing it for a long time, and ratings continue to go down. The Tonight Show. Who thought the Tonight Show would fall to this low in the rankings, in the ratings? I've got one advice to legacy media: go center of the line, no bias, no opinion, and your ratings will improve. It's that simple. It's that simple. I feel like Marco Pierre White. It's that simple. That's all you got to do. Same way with all the big brands. Don't voice an opinion. If you sell beer, sell beer. You sell cars, sell cars. You sell tools and equipment, sell tools and equipment. You don't have to make a political standpoint or an activism standpoint that's going to hurt the brand. No, you're a brand. You're not a political group. Stay out of it. You sell burgers, sell burgers. You want to support something? Support childhood cancer or the Olympics or the Special Olympics, and leave it at that. You know, some worthy worldwide cause. When you step off into contentious activism subjects, that's when the brands start hurting, or you start being biased on one political side versus the other. If the legacy media will go fair and balanced, strictly down the middle, without opinion and without bias, just the meat, potatoes, the nuggets, just the facts. Not, oh, I heard somebody from somewhere to somewhere. That's what I do. That's what I do. I give interpretation. I'm not legacy media either. I'm just a guy sitting at the house making a video in between things that I have to do for work. So the truth for this episode is just that. Be truthful with us. Federal government, y'all need to be truthful with us. We're grown adults. I think we can handle it. And I wish you would be a lot more truthful than you are. And as always, treat everybody with dignity and respect. Don't follow the example that our elected leaders are showing by calling people names and agitating each other. We're not going to go forward in a positive way if we do that. Let's talk to one another. Let's figure it out. If you don't agree with me, please let me know. We can talk. I'll set up a Zoom. I love being educated. If there's some, because we only know what we know and we don't know what we don't know. It's that gap that needs to be filled. And we need to get back to talking with one another with dignity and respect and listening to each other. If we quit reacting with emotion and go, wait a minute, I need to seek first to understand, we might get a lot farther as a collective people. The left, the right, the middle, because I'm an independent. Well, not, it appears that I'm a conservative because the way the political spectrum has shifted, I haven't shifted, but it seems I align more with the conservatives than the liberals, just because the liberals have went way over there. I mean, I gotta get glasses out, sight glasses to see them. They're so far over there. And we saw that amongst a lot of moderate Democrats that went independent or now conservatives because they say the party left them. That's kind of what happened. I agree, because I didn't shift my position since I was a young adult, young man, old teenager, young adult, whatever you want to put it. I have not switched my position one bit, but it seems more conservative policies have overlapped me than the liberal policies. So where I was a solid purple, I'm now I'm becoming bright red. And sorry, left side, it's not you, it's me. No, something like that. You walked away. I'm still here. So dignity and respect, and please, government, police, everybody, let's be truthful. Let's be honest. Let's be real with everything that we're doing. Inform us correctly, truthfully, with dignity and respect. And that's it for today. I'm Alan Prentice for This Truth. Until next time, be well.